Hi, welcome to the Pre-Snore History Hub. This video is all about the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan in 1979. So, why did the invasion actually happen in the first place? Let's look a little bit at the background to start with. So, the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan was to drastically change relations between the East and West. The USA knew that a Soviet occupied Afghanistan would threaten India and Pakistan. So, India and Pakistan are both neighbouring countries to Afghanistan, and would help the Soviets to take control of the West's oil supply. Apart from religious reasons, the Soviet Union mainly invaded because it did not wish to see the collapse of a neighbouring socialist state, and it didn't want to see the growth of US influence on its borders. This is why they sent such a large military force to Afghanistan. So on the 27th of April 1978, the People's Democratic Party of Afghanistan, also known as the PDPA, who were a communist party, overthrew the existing government of Afghanistan. A man called Nur Muhammad Taraki became Prime Minister of the newly established Democratic Republic of Afghanistan. During its first 18 months of rule, the PDPA imposed a communist-style reform programme. At the same time, thousands of members of the traditional elite, who were mainly Muslim and intellectuals, were imprisoned, tortured, or murdered. So, who were the Mujahideen? In September 1979, the Deputy Prime Minister, a Muslim named Amin, seized power from Taraki. Despite this, there was continued instability within the country because of the anti-Muslim policies. As a result of the anti-Muslim policies, thousands of Afghan Muslims joined a group called the Mujahideen. This was a guerrilla movement who proclaimed to be on a holy mission for Allah. They wanted to overthrow the Amin government. The Mujahideen declared a jihad, or a holy war, on the supporters of Amin. So the Soviets continued to send Amin's men military assistance, equipment, and advisors to fight off the Mujahideen. However, Amin did not want to become too reliant on the Soviet Union and wanted to improve links with the USA. Unrest grew. So why was Brezhnev so concerned? So remember that Brezhnev is the leader of the Soviet Union. At this point, Brezhnev became concerned about the growing power and spread of Islamic fundamentalism. People who oppose the West and want to set up an Islamic state. Brezhnev wanted to show the 30 million Muslims in the Soviet Union that there would be no changes to the way the USSR was run. Remember that under communism, there isn't supposed to be any religion. The Soviet Union saw fundamentalism as a great threat to them and their way of life. So, the Soviet invasion itself. Between the 25th of December 1979 and the 1st of January 1980, more than 50,000 Soviet troops were sent to Afghanistan to restore order and protect the PDPA from the Mujahideen. Brezhnev said he was only complying with the 1978 Treaty of Friendship that he had signed with former President Taraki. This treaty had promised cooperation and good neighbourliness. On the 27th of December 1979, Amin was shot and replaced by Kemal, who had been in exile in Mexico. He depended on Soviet military support to maintain his position. Many Afghan soldiers deserted to join the Mujahideen. 85,000 Soviet soldiers were needed to keep the new government in power. US President Carter was under pressure to deal with the Soviets properly. He'd come under criticism in November 1979 because US embassy staff were seized in Iran by Islamic students who wanted the return of their former leader, the Shah, who had been in exile in the USA. They wanted to put their former leader on trial for crimes against the people of Iran. Carter failed to solve the hostage problem by the end of the year, so some in the USA were accusing him of being a weak leader. He knew then that he had to get tough on all matters in this part of the world. This included Afghanistan. This new tough approach manifested itself in the Carter Doctrine. So that is the Soviet invasion. Okay, so looking at the consequences then, one of the consequences, as we just mentioned, was the Carter Doctrine. So what actually was it? Carter's new tough approach manifested itself in something called the Carter Doctrine. The policy stated that the USA would use military force, if necessary, to defend its national interests in the Persian Gulf. Many of the countries on the Persian Gulf, such as Iran, are rich in oil. The Doctrine also promised US military aid to all countries bordering Afghanistan. In order to do this, Carter proposed the creation of a quick strike military force that could intervene anywhere in the world at short notice. He called it a rapid deployment force. He also called for a draft registration of 18 to 20-year-old men and for Congress to allow the CIA to increase its intelligence gathering activities. The tough line was continued when President Carter asked the Senate to delay passing the SALT II treaty. The USA then cancelled all shipments of grain to the Soviet Union, and the US companies were forbidden to sell high technology there, such as computers and oil drilling equipment. It was also decided that assistance would be given to the guerrillas, Mujahideen, who fought against the Soviets. So another consequence of the invasion is the Moscow Olympics. So President Carter's most controversial decision after the Soviet invasion was to pressure the US Olympic Committee, or the USOC, to boycott the Moscow Olympics that were due to happen in July and August of 1980. Carter threatened to withhold funding and remove tax benefits. The USOC agreed, and 61 other countries followed the USA. This means that superpower politics intruded on the Olympics. The relations soured further after this, and some of those who boycotted the Games held an alternative event called the Liberty Bell Classic. At the official Olympics, the Soviet Union won 195 medals, 80 of which were gold. The American press ridiculed the official games and nicknamed Misha Bear, which was Russia's Olympic mascot, Gulag Bear, a reference to the Soviet prison camps which were known as Gulag. And it also signified the end of Dayton. So Carter's actions did not force Soviet troops to leave Afghanistan. However, they did bring an end to Dayton, and by 1980, Dayton was dead. The invasion of Afghanistan and the American response meant that relations between the two superpowers were at the lowest point since the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the Pre-Snore History Hub, and our next video is going to be about the Second Cold War.